Hey everyone, Derek from EV1 Poker. I'm here to show you some of the settings in EV1 Poker. Up here on the upper right of the screen, you will see this, what we call like a hamburger menu. If you click it and expand it, you'll see that you have profile, settings, billing, FAQ, and help center. So let's just start with profile. So profile is where on the very top you'll see that it tells you your subscription. So you're either in the free tier or you're in the pro tier for now. The elite tier will come a little bit later, but pro tier basically gets you all these advanced analytics, and I'll show you what the stats are in a different video. It also gets you 4 tables at a time, where free can only play 1 table at a time. So there's a bunch of different benefits to pro, but I need to say right away that pro has no bearing on your gameplay. It's not going to give anybody an advantage over you if somebody has pro. All I do is get extra features. EV1 Poker is designed to be free to play for everyone, and that's how it's always going to be. There's a lot of the stats are going to help you improve your game as well, so I definitely recommend you checking it out. You're going to get 7 free days of trial pro anyway when you first sign up, so you get to play around with all the different cool features. And you feel like you want to subscribe to it, you can definitely do it, and I'll show you the billing screen in a minute. But let's just go through the rest of this. So you have your account name, you have your email, you can edit your account name or your email address. You can also do email verification. So how email verification works is after you first sign up, you'll get an email to the email address that you entered, and then in that email there will be a verify email button. You need to verify that email before you have access to specific features, specifically ranked mode. So the reason why we have you verify your email is because we just can't have anybody jumping onto the site with like 20 different emails, 20 different accounts, doing whatever they want. So the email verification is to ensure that you're using a valid email address before you can play, specifically ranked mode and get access to some other features. We also have multi-accounting detection just in case you are trying to do some funny things. So we do our best to make sure that you are always playing a fair game. Here you can also change your password, delete your account if you want to. Now let's jump over into the settings screen. So here in your settings screen, you'll see a bunch of, it's mostly just bet controls in here. You can show chip counts as number of big blinds. So I have this set by default in the game for you because I think this is a really useful way of looking at chips, because you're sitting there trying to calculate the blind, trying to calculate your chip stack, see how many big blinds you have. To just have everything shown in big blinds all the time is really, really a lot easier to play. I'm also going to say that if you play a lot of online poker and you're always looking at things in big blinds, sometimes going back into the live arena and playing with real chips is a little bit difficult. But I really like this setting, so I've set it to default. So when you jump into the game, you'll see that chips are represented as big blinds instead of absolute number of chips. But if you don't like that setting, you can come in here and just disable it. And just know there's a save button on the bottom in case you change any settings here. Now for your bet sizing, you have pre-flop and you have post-flop. And in pre-flop, if the pot hasn't been raised yet, you can set different sizes here, like 2.5, 3. I have this also set to generally what I think are pretty standard open and raising numbers. So obviously if you're just open raising, I think 2.2-ish to a min raise is typically the more modern way to do raises. Of course, if you don't like that and you want to do something else, set it to something else, totally up to you. Then if somebody has raised in front of you, then you can also raise them 3x or raise it 4x if you're out of position or something like that. And then when you're actually in the game, and there's another video where I'll be showing you some of the gameplay, and there you'll see where all these pre-selects show up, so you can just press a button. Instead of trying to drag that slider or type in a bet size, you can basically just press one of your pre-selects and it should work right for you. And then post-flop, it's always going to be typically betting a percentage of the pot, so this is why it's a percentage of pot here versus a multiplier on the blinds here. But you can, if you want to, for at least an unraised pot, you can do percentage instead of multiplier if you want, but I think the percentages are a little bit confusing. Now let's take a look at billing. So here for billing, it shows you what your plan is. You can press upgrade if you're on the free tier, or if you want to downgrade from your pro back to a free tier, this is where you would do it. You have a promo code, this is where you would enter it, and then your payment history is shown here. And if you were to go and upgrade, basically we integrate with Stripe, so just know that our payment processor, Stripe, and everything you're doing is through a really secure, global brand, so that all your payments and your payment information and billing information is safe. Then let's go over lastly to, actually, FAQs and help centers aren't really settings, but let me just cover them real quick. So the FAQs just give you some basic frequently asked questions of what is EV1 Poker? Is EV1 Poker a gambling site? Are there bots in my games? What are the different modes? What happens to games? Because there's also seasons, so you can learn a lot about EV1 Poker, not only from the FAQs from the Help Center. The Help Center basically breaks down things like how does your PSkill work, right? It also breaks things down like our tiering system and matchmaking. So how does our actual matchmaking work? So a lot of really cool information here. So yeah, super excited to have you at the tables to come play at EV1 Poker. Those are all your settings. Definitely make sure that think through your bet settings. I think that's probably the biggest thing I'll tell you about what feels most comfortable to you. If you don't feel comfortable about it in game, by the way, you can actually just switch tabs, go back to your settings, change whatever you want, go back to your game page, refresh it, and then all your settings should be up to date again. But yeah, so these are all the settings for EV1 Poker. Thank you for watching, and we will see you at the next video.